Hi children, welcome to grade 4 English and this is our session 2 in chapter 7, the magic picture. And before getting into our session, let's do an energizer. Children, if you ever come across a fairy, what wish would you ask for? Think well and write your answer in your note and you can share it with me in Google Classroom. Chapter number 7, the magic picture. And let's recap the first part of the story what we have seen in our earlier session. Long ago, there lived a woodcutter called Subhadatta in India. He lived with his family very happily together. The woodcutter went to the forest near his home every day to get supplies of wood, which he sold to his neighbors to earn money. He earned enough to give his wife and children all that they needed, and he was a caring and loving father. One day, the woodcutter said that none of them could accompany him to the forest, and for he wanted to go a very long way into the forest to see if he could find better wood there than nearer his home. Vainly, the boys entreated him to take them with them. Not today, he said. So they had to be content and obedient boys following instructions from their father. And of course, they expected that their father would come back the same day that he started for the forest. Alas, it was late in the night and still there was no sign of him. They were all very worried and hoped for his well-being. Their mother went to and fro from the door to the veranda to wait for him, expecting every moment to see him coming along the path which led to their door. She soon fell asleep with a heavy heart. Far away in the forest, Subhadatta saw 4 beautiful fairies while he was cutting fine wood to take back home. He was so astonished at the sight that he let his axe fall, and the noise startled the fairies. All 4 stood still and stared at him. The woodcutter told them that he had traveled to the forest to collect fine wood to be sold for money. Children, in this picture, you can see Subhadatta and 4 beautiful fairies in the forest. And until this part of the story, we have seen in our earlier session, right? And now, let's continue reading the story. That is a very stupid thing to do, said one of the fairies. You can't get much money that way. If you stay with us, we will have your wife and children looked after for you much better than you could do yourself. Subhadatta was happy to hear this and agreed to stay without really thinking about the offer. We are fairies, you see, and we can do all sorts of wonderful things. We shall just wish them everything they want, and they will get it. We will give you some food now, and you must work for us in return. Of course, Subhadatta readily agreed. Well, begin by sweeping away all the dead leaves from the ground, and then we will all sit down and eat together. He began to clear the ground. And one of the fairies said, that is a very stupid thing to do. That is searching for fine wood in the forest to earn more money. You can get much more money by doing us a favor. If you stay with us, we will have your wife and children looked after for you, and they will be very happy. And after hearing this, Subhadatta felt happy and he agreed to stay without really thinking about the offer much. And we are fairies, you see, and we can do all sort of wonderful things, and your family can get whatever they wish for. And we will give you some food now. You must work for us in return, they said. Of course, Subhadatta readily agreed to the offer. And well, now begin your work by sweeping away all the dead leaves from the ground, and we all will sit down and eat together. The fairy said. He began to clear the ground and then looked about for the food, but he could see nothing except a great big pitcher standing in the shade of a tree. So he asked one of the fairies, "Will you show me where the food is?" All the fairies began to laugh and said, "Well, we get all our food and everything else we want out of the pitcher. It's a magic pitcher, the only one in the whole wide world." Very soon, he had a beautiful meal spread out before him on the ground. And after sweeping the dead leaves from the ground, he looked about for the food, but he could see nothing there except a great big pitcher standing in the shade of a tree. So he asked the fairies, "Will you show me where the food is?" All the fairies began to laugh and they said, "We get all our food and whatever we wanted from the pitcher, and it's a magic pitcher, the only one in the whole entire world." And very soon, Subhadatta and the fairies had a beautiful meal spread out before them on the ground. And children, in this picture, you can see Subhadatta, the woodcutter, and the fairies with magic pitcher. The next few days passed away like a dream, but he began to wish he had his wife and children with him to share his wonderful meals. The fairies noticed this, and one of them said to him, "Whatever is the matter, we don't care to keep unhappy people here. If you can't enjoy life as we do, you had better go home." Then Subhadatta told them that he missed his family and that he was afraid his dear ones were starving for want of money. "Don't worry about them," was the reply. "We will let your wife know what keeps you away. We will whisper it in her ear when she is asleep, and she will be so glad to think of your happiness that she will forget her own troubles." Meanwhile, his poor wife was at her wits' end about how to feed her children. The boys set out to work to help their mother. They would climb trees and chop off small branches with their axes. They would make up bundles of faggots and sell them to their neighbors. The neighbors were touched by the courage they showed and not only paid them well for the wood, but often gave them milk, rice, and other little things to help them. And after a few days passed, like a dream, Subhadatta began to wish that he had his wife and children with him to share his wonderful life. The fairies noticed this and they said, "Whatever is the matter, we don't care to keep unhappy people with us here. So, if you can't enjoy the life we give you, you can better go home." And for that, Subhadatta told them he missed his family so much and he was afraid of his dear ones, whether they were starving for want of money and food. "And don't worry about them," said the fairies, "and we will let your wife know what keeps you away from them, and we will whisper it in her ear so that she will be very glad to think of your happiness, and after that she will forget her own troubles," the fairies said. Meanwhile, his poor wife was at her wits' end about how to feed her children. The boys set out to work to help their mother. They would climb the trees, chop off small branches with their axes, and they would make up bundles of faggots and sell them to their neighbors. And the neighbors were touched by the courage the boys showed and not only paid them well for the wood, but they often gave them milk, rice, and other little things to help them. One day, Subhadatta said to the fairies, I will not stay with you any longer. I have had a good time here, but I am tired of this life away from my own people. They consulted together, and then one of them told him that they wished to make him a present before he went away, and they would give him whatever he asked for. The woodcutter immediately asked for the magic picture. Very well then, take the picture, they sadly answered, and never let us see your face again. So, Subhadatta took the picture, carrying it very, very carefully, lest he should drop it and break it before he got home. He hid the picture in a hollow tree in the wood near his cottage, for he did not mean anyone to know that he had it. What a surprise it was to Subhadatta's wife and children when they saw him. He told his wife that he had lost his way in the forest, but he said nothing about the fairies. He quietly used the picture and was proud that he could provide for his family easily. And one day, Subhadatta said to the fairies that he will not stay with them any longer because he missed his family very much. Even though he had a great time there with fairies, he was very tired of his life away from his own people. So, all the fairies and Subhadatta, they consulted together, and then one of the fairy told him that they wished to make him a present before he went away. So they asked him to ask something, and they would give him whatever he asked for. The woodcutter immediately asked for the magic picture. Then, very well, you can take the picture. The fairies sadly answered, but never let us see your face again, they said. And Subhadatta took the picture, carrying it very, very carefully, unless he should drop it and break it before he got home. He hid the picture in a hollow tree in the wood near his cottage, and he did not want anyone to know that he had the picture. And what a surprise it was to Subhadatta's wife and children when they saw him. He told his wife that he had lost his way in the forest, but he said nothing about the fairies and what happened to him. He quietly used the picture and was very proud that he could provide for him and his family very easily with the help of that magic picture. This went on for some months. Subhadatta was becoming more and more proud of all that he could do, and it seemed likely that his secret would never be discovered. Everybody tried to find it out, and many followed him secretly when he set forth into the woods. But he was very clever at dodging them, hiding his treasure constantly in a new place in the dead of the night. Now he often took too much wine from the pitcher instead of water. He began to boast of his cleverness, telling his friends there was nothing they wanted that he could not get for them. One day, when he had given them a very grand feast in which there were several rare kinds of food they had asked for, his friends teased him, trying to trick him to get the secret out. But Subhadatta was clever and did not reveal anything. When the woodcutter was quite sure that everyone was gone and nobody could see where he had hidden the pitcher, he took it from the hole in which it lay and carried it carefully to his home. He picked up the pitcher and, holding it on his shoulder, began to dance wildly about. Suddenly, however, he began to feel giddy and fell to the ground, dropping the pitcher. And this went on for some months, and Subhadatta was becoming more and more proud because of all that he can do with the help of that pitcher. And it seemed likely that his secret would never be discovered. Everybody there tried to find it out, but many followed him secretly when he went into the woods. But he was very clever in finding them and hiding his treasure constantly in a new place in the dead of the night every day. Now he often took so much wine from the pitcher instead of water, and also he began to boast of his cleverness, intelligence, and telling his friends that he can do anything and everything. And one day he had given everyone a very grand feast in which he served everyone several rare kinds of food. And his friends teased him. They tried to trick him to get the secret out. But Subhadatta was very clever. He did not reveal anything about it. And when the woodcutter was quite sure that everyone was gone, nobody could see where he had hidden the pitcher. He took it from the hole in which it lay and carried it carefully to his home. He picked up the pitcher and, holding it on his shoulder, began to dance wildly about. Suddenly, he began to feel giddy and fell into the ground, dropping the pitcher. In this picture, you can see the sad woodcutter worrying about the broken magic pitcher and his wife standing there looking at him, right? It broke into pieces. The woodcutter repented his foolishness. As time passed by, the woodcutter returned to his old ways. But he had learned one lesson. He never again kept a secret from his wife, because he felt sure that if he had told her the truth about the pitcher when he first came home, she would have helped him to save the precious treasure. Right? And the magic pitcher broke into pieces. The woodcutter repented his foolishness. And as time passed by, the woodcutter returned to his old ways. That is how he survived, right? By selling the wood he took from the forest. But he learned a very valuable lesson. He never again kept a secret from his wife, because he felt that if he had told her the truth before itself when he first came home, she would have helped him to save the precious treasure. And now they would have lived very happily, right? Yes. And this story was written by S.M. Mitra, simplified and extracted from Hindu tales from the Sanskrit. And children, now let me summarize the story. And this story is about Subhadatta and 4 beautiful fairies, right? And how Subhadatta had a wonderful opportunity of possessing a magic pitcher, and because of his foolishness and unwanted behavior, he lost the magic pitcher at the end and realized his mistake. And what is the lesson learned from this story, children? Think before you act. If you want to do something, what you should do? You should think before you do something. And this is what we have learned from this story. And children, now let me tell you the home assignment for today's session. And children, read the story thoroughly before completing this home assignment. Read the story, The Magic Pitcher, thoroughly and answer the questions. First one, who was Subhadatta and where did he live? This is your practice zone 1 in your concept book, page number 112. First one, who was Subhadatta and where did he live? Second one, what did he do to earn a living for himself and his family? Third one, why did he decide to go deeper into the forest one day? And fourth, what did he see in the new part of the forest while cutting wood? And fifth, what way did the fairy suggest to Subhadatta? Sixth one, did Subhadatta agree to the fairies? Why? And seventh one, where did Subhadatta get his food from when he lived in the forest? And children, I hope you are clear with the story and your home assignment, and hand in your completed home assignment in grade 4 English Google Classroom. Children, drink more water, eat healthy food, reduce your screen time, don't use mobile phones and television often, and give adequate rest to your eyes. Stay home and stay safe, children. Thank you so much.